in middle school, when it was time to pick out a musical instrument, you were told to form a single file line and head down to the band room. You're in the middle of the line, so you get to watch a few of your friends try at the various instruments. One of your friends is good at the clarinet, the other one goes straight for the drums. Well, what are you going to do? You pick up the trumpet, nothing comes out. You make a little tiny whistle noise come out of the flute. And then you pick up the saxophone. Bam! Huge noise comes out. This is your instrument. This was my experience in picking out this E-flat alto saxophone, and I've played it for the past 15 years and loved every single minute of it. But before you can be in, you have to know a few things about the saxophone before you can be in the same category as Kenny G, former President Bill Clinton, John Coltrane, and Lisa Simpson. Today I'm going to talk about the parts of the saxophone, how they fit together, how to start playing, and how to maintain your instrument. There are three main parts to the saxophone. The first part is the mouthpiece. This part is usually made out of hard rubber, but sometimes can be made out of glass, metal, or wood. The mouthpiece has a reed that goes on it. The reed vibrates to make the sound of the instrument. And the reed is connected to the mouthpiece by a ligature. The second piece to the saxophone is the neck. This is the piece that connects the mouthpiece to the body of the instrument. There's a cork on the neck where the mouthpiece goes on and gets fastened to, and the octave vent, which allows the saxophone to have increased range. Now for the body of the saxophone. The saxophone itself has keys. The keys generally have mother-of-pearl buttons on them. The keys are connected with rods. The saxophone also has a button for your thumb as well as a thumb rest. The other section of the saxophone is where the bell right here, which is where most of the sound comes out. So now that we know the parts of the saxophone, let's put it all together. First, you take the mouthpiece and the reed, attach the reed flat side down on the mouthpiece about 1/8 of an inch from tip to tip. So that means the tip of the reed should be about 1/8 inch past the tip of the mouthpiece. And then you slide the ligature over the two to fasten them together. You just tighten the screws and then it stays put. The mouthpiece then goes on the neck of the saxophone. Like I said earlier, this goes on the cork. The further in you push the cork, the more flat sounding the saxophone will be. The more you pull it out, the more sharp sounding the saxophone will be. Once you have these pieces together, you put the neck in the neck socket of the body. And then there's a screw to tighten and keep it fastened. So now that we know how to put the saxophone together, let's start the fun part, playing. Usually it's recommended to use a neck strap to hold the saxophone. It clips right into the back onto the neck strap holder. One of the important things of having a saxophone and playing it properly is holding it, making sure that your posture is appropriate. You can stand or sit to play the saxophone. If you're sitting, you can put it in between your legs or on the side of your body. Either way would be acceptable. Now make sure that when you're holding the saxophone, it's parallel to your body, and that when you have the mouthpiece coming into your mouth, it is at a 90-degree angle. One of the other important things is to make sure that you bring the saxophone to you, not you to it. You want to make sure that you're not slouching or anything like that, because you want to open your lungs as much as possible. So now that we know a little bit about how to hold it, let's talk about where your hands go. You put your index, middle, and ring finger on the first 3 buttons on the top, and your thumb goes on the thumb button underneath the octave key. Same thing with your right hand. It goes index, middle, and ring finger on the bottom main keys, and then the thumb rest. So this is how you hold the saxophone. Now that you hold it, you have to make sure that you're blowing the air appropriately, consistently, and a lot of air. This will vibrate the reed and make sure that the sound comes out. And that is how you play. Now that we know how to play the instrument and the different parts, we're going to talk about how to maintain it. So most importantly, with the mouthpiece is the reed. We have to make sure that it doesn't get chipped or cracked or anything like that, so it goes in the reed case. And that's all that you have to do with that. The mouthpiece itself should be cleaned regularly with soap and water to make sure there isn't any residue left in it. The neck can be swabbed out with using a neck swab. Looking very similarly to this, you just put it in, get all the spit out. That's kind of how that goes. And then the body of the saxophone gets swabbed by this swab right here. It has a weight at the end. You put the weight down the body of the saxophone and then out the bell. And then you just pull it through like this. This makes sure that all of the spit that's left inside of the saxophone does not destroy the pads and they are maintained properly. And while you store the saxophone, you can put a pad saver in the inside to make sure that your pads don't get any residual moisture left over. Also, you want to make sure that you have a shining cloth to ensure that the finish of your instrument is maintained properly. And last but not least, the case of the saxophone holds everything together so that it is protected from the outside elements. So now that we've talked about the different parts of the saxophone, how to put it together, how to play, and maintain your instrument, even you might take up the saxophone. But if you do, keep in mind the words of Charlie Parker. Don't play the saxophone, let the saxophone play you.